So I have a three-pronged objective today. First thing is, I want to keep you awake. I do not want to be the speaker that puts you to sleep. I've seen some awesome ones before us. I know I've seen the list. There's going to be some great ones after. You're coming off of lunch, so I don't want to be the guy that puts you to sleep. This is the guy who sat beside me on the airplane and took a picture of him. So I'm not opposed to taking a picture of you. If you fall asleep, you will get a snapshot. Secondly, I want to encourage you a little bit. We're all facing some of the same challenges as small businesses as we're taking those next steps. And so hopefully you'll find something that you can use or reapply in our story. And then lastly, I want to challenge you a little bit. Business is all about recalibrating, refreshing, just seeing what the problem is in front of you and changing the way you think about your business. We've got a couple of stories around that, so hopefully you'll feel challenged and maybe even take that next step for you guys. So I want to get you in the salsa zone, and I want you to participate because I'm going to give a free jar of salsa to whoever wins. This is how I bribe you to pay attention. So how many people would say they're salsa connoisseurs? Good, okay. So take your piece of paper or your pen, and I'm going to give you a few seconds. I want you to write down every brand of salsa that you can think of. Go. You can Google, but you don't have much time. I see people looking up. Okay, stop. So how many people got at least 5? 5, so I have 3. How about 7? 10? How many did you get? You got 5? Who got anybody more than 5? 6? More? 6? All right. I was going to give one cranberry orange, but since I have a fire roasted hut, I'll let you have this one as well. So, okay. You can always swap it in and out. But the point of that is, if you look at this picture, there are 30 different brands in this photo, and if you expand it, I cropped it, so if you expand it out, there were 59 different versions. So brands, varieties, and so when you start to think about salsa in general, local, regional, national, all the different permutations, there are a lot of them out there. So this leads me to our first kind of surprise as a company, and that is most people thought we were crazy when we tell them that we are getting into salsa. So we'd walk up and pretend you're me. It's like, I'm Derek. Who are you? What do you do? Salsa. Salsa. There's kind of that. It's okay. It's gonna be okay. You can do it. Just don't give up. It's like everybody's in salsa. Everybody that has a product, guess what? They have a line extension in the salsa. But that's not. I feel like I owe you an explanation of why did we get in salsa, because we didn't quite see it that way. So I thought I need one picture to kind of sum it up. This is our family, and this is what salsa means to us. What's in this picture? We're around the table. We're cutting up. We have great food. We're celebrating, we're making fun of each other, we're laughing. So when I talk about our salsa story, this was inspired by Miss Helen doing this for years and hosting and creating these memories. And so when we started to put some serious pressure on her, you need to launch this company, this is what we were thinking. It's like, we need to share this experience. We need to share this with other people. We weren't thinking about salsa kind of as we know it. But we're not naive. I mean, maybe a little bit, but we're not totally naive. We know that this is a saturated category. We know that it's a high cost of entry. You hear a lot of people talk about penny profit brands, and we're in that space. Sea of sameness. A lot of them, they look alike, they sound alike, they taste alike, they smell alike. I mean, there are a lot of salsas that are just mediocre. There's some great ones too, but there's probably more that aren't. And I'm critical of the category. But we don't necessarily see it this way fully. And I love Walt Disney. He's one of my favorite, it's one of my favorite brands, favorite leaders. I love learning how he processed and approached his problem solving. And he was thinking about launching an amusement park, and he was talking to his wife. He's like, hey, I think I'm going to launch an amusement park. And she looked at him like any good sane wife and said, why? Like, why in the world would you want to launch an amusement park? They're dirty, they're hard. You got all those people, and you got to maintain this, and the other. And he just said, you were right, but mine's not going to be. It's that simple. It's like he didn't see it the way it was. He saw it the way it could be and the way it should be. But that's Walt Disney, you know, everybody, that's larger than life experience. Let's take these 3 brands. So these are 3 brands I personally love, consume more than others. But if you look at them entering the categories, like it's almost as crazy as launching a premium salsa. When you think about trying to get into fast food with a premium, less, you know, smaller menu like Chipotle did, when really it was all about McDonald's and Burger King and Wendy's and Hardee's and Rowley's and everything else in between, or you know, these guys who are trying to grow their own hops and launch this idea of this microbrewery when 99% of the marketplace was Miller, Coors, Budweiser. I mean, it really didn't make a lot of sense at the time. But these guys, they had a vision, they reimagined what the category could be, and that's, you know, I'm not comparing us to these guys at all, but this is inspiration for us because we feel like they opened up the category for new people. So you look at the microbrewery movement just alone, and much of it was led by founders and pioneers like Sierra Nevada. So when we look at the category, this is what we see. We see a category that grew during the recession. So when you think about condiments, it was $5.5 billion in 2010. It's on track to be about a $7 billion business. And I don't know if you remember that, you know, salsa surpassed ketchup last year as the #1 condiment. Now there's all kind of articles now, they say it's maybe mayo and salsa's a dip, not a condiment, but regardless, it was at the top. We see a category that leverages the fact that folks are different than they used to be. They're trying to replicate the experience in home, and so and I love dining. I mean, there's nothing better than going out to eat. But a lot of people are starting to bring that home and try to do it because they have new budgets, they have a new way of living, and of course we love that because it's all about celebrating life around the table at the house. We see a category that has kind of lost its way with ingredients, and in our business, one of the first places you can cut is cost of goods sold, right? The quality of your product, and in a penny profit business, that's tempting. Now we're not going to do it because we've said we may go down, but we're going to go down swinging with a great product. But there are a lot of folks that have gotten margin from cutting costs. We see a category that's one-dimensional. We see it as it's multi-dimensional. We cook with our salsa. That's our #1 point of difference. We, you know, I wouldn't want to just buy it just to eat it out of the jar. We have amazing recipes, and so I'm going to talk a little bit about kind of that 1-2 punch. Ultimately, we see a category that's ripe for movement. We talk behind the scenes. We talk about creating a salsa movement. We want to move new people to the category. We want to move more people to try recipes, give them confidence in the kitchen, and we want to move friends and family to celebrate life around the table. So that's kind of the explanation. Again, we may be a little bit crazy, but this is why we're in the salsa business, because we think it's ripe for reinvention. So the second surprise is the power of demos. So taking our show on the road. It was about 2010. And I don't say we're struggling, but we really need a boost. So Miss Helen has been pounding the pavement for 8 years, and we're trying to, you know, get new points of distribution, and we need cash, we need all these things, and so we're trying to figure out, is there a silver bullet? I mean, it really is not a silver bullet, but what can we do? Where are we going to put our time? We kind of stumbled on. So just 4 things that we were looking for. Cash, you know, everybody needs cash. Cash is king. We need to drive trial. Because we weren't going to get new points of distribution if we didn't show that we could sell the product in the retailers we're in. We need to learn more about the marketplace. We knew quite a bit, but you know, our competitors and pricing thresholds, and is it geographically based? Are there seasonalities? We had theories on all of this, but we needed to learn more about it. And then our story, the power of telling your story and being consistent with, if we say we're an ordinary salsa, why? Why are we an ordinary salsa? And so we actually got into the Sands roadshows, and we didn't know it was going to be this impactful in our business at the time, but I'm just going to make a shameless plug on what we learned. It was priceless. Well, one, we started learning how to tell our story. You know, first of all, who's the brother? I'm not the brother. Are you the brother? Brother from another mother? I mean, it was like, I can't tell you how many million times they'd say, are you the brother? I'm not the brother. Well, who's the brother? Who's Miss Helen? When did you launch the company? Tell me what makes your company different. Well, when you demo and you talk to people day in and day out, you learn how to tell that story and make it relevant. Secondly, you know, when I put out 12 jars of our salsa, I'm thinking you should be in heaven. This is going to be amazing. And most people look at it and their eyes go cross. They're not even sure where to start. They have no idea. And so we learned that just as simple as let's help them select and deselect our own little portfolio. You know, forget about the entire category. So a lot of times we'd say, well, they go, oh, I'm mild, you know, I just can't, I can't stand any heat, I'm a sissy, I'm a wimp, you know, they make fun of themselves, and of course you have to encourage them and tell them, you know, it's a sophisticated palate, right? Well, I'd say, look, we have 3 true miles. And good news, we do not sacrifice quality for lack of heat. You're gonna love these salsas. So just learning how to help, you know, our consumer select and deselect our own portfolio, that was a big learning. We have to talk about the salsa, our fire roasted hot. This is the medium. And so, you know, the fire roasted was actually inspired by a trip to Santa Fe by my in-laws, and it is a wonderful salsa. So we actually char the tomatoes over mesquite, and it gives it this wonderful, perfect smokiness. It's not overly smoky. Brings out the natural flavor, the natural sweetness of the tomatoes. We use a 3 chili blend, so we use a poblano, serrano, jalapeno chili that balances it. And I'm gonna tell you, this is one of those salsas that every bite, it's an explosion in your mouth. It is an awesome salsa. And so we learned how to walk you through and help you understand. And you know, the whole goal is we want you to want it. We want you to want to try it and want to tell other people about it. So you learn how to talk about your product. We love our products, but we know there's more to it. A 1-2 punch is always the best way. There's a lot of people that have a salsa, but not everybody has a versatility to make recipes, and that's all we're doing. That is our #1 strategy, is you can cook with it. You can do so much with it that will simplify your life. It's a win-win for everybody. You know, it's a win for the consumer because we've given them solutions and hopefully confidence in the kitchen. So if you never thought you were a chef, guess what? You can cook. You can do some fun stuff. It's a win for the retailer because it grows total basket. There was one road show where we were slow cooking a chuck roast with our original, and they sold out a chuck roast. I mean, just because people are like, I never thought about that. I can put it in a crock pot and then I can take it out and make tacos and nachos. And I mean, that's what we want. You know, we want people to try new things. And then for us, it's good because as a business owner, you know, you get to push more than one product. So you got to have one to eat with chips, and you need to have one to cook with. So we just felt, and good news, you're going to get this tonight. This is a tamale dip that we're making with our house salsa. So we'll have some of these available later. Shameless plug. So we cannot imagine life with our salsa and not cooking recipes. Also, it helps us with blind spots. You know, we had a ton, and we still do. But things like receiving in the back of a Sam's Club. You know, there was one time I got to a road show at midnight, and guess what wasn't there? My pallet of salsa. So that's another story. But we were ready at 8 o'clock the next morning. It was not fun, let me tell you that. But there are tons, working with Walmart EDI, you know, all these things you learn, so we just learned a ton. I'm just gonna tell you, doing demos, in this case it's road shows, but doing demos, you just cannot beat it when you're getting out of the gate. Now, in the food business especially, learning how people think about your product, how they process it. Third, our best source may just be the outsource. So it's 2011. We've kind of gotten over the 2010 hump I was just talking to you about. We've got some good momentum. We've been picked up by a couple of good big retailers, so you know, life is good. We're starting to get some efficiencies, and so our natural tendency is, and at this point we're in the house. I'm in the drum room, and Miss Helen's in the laundry room, and our garage is the replenishment center. And we're thinking, if we're going to keep doing this, we need more. I mean, more is better. So first thing we're gonna do is we get a whiteboard, because all great things start with a whiteboard. Now I've got to get a chair. You know what? Who needs FedEx and UPS? I've got a Pilot. I'm gonna stuff as many 17-inch cubes in the back of it. I'm either gonna break the car or a record for how much salsa I can get in the back of my car. We need space. I don't know if you've ever tried to pack peanuts in a garage when the wind's blowing, but it stinks. It's like they're everywhere. You know, you get way more peanuts on the floor and static to you than you do actually in the boxes. So we need space. We need an IT structure. No laugh, this is some of my doing. We need a network, you know, let's get an iMac and make it a server, and we'll host QuickBooks, and we'll do all kind of fun stuff on it. We need labor, and this was the cheapest labor I could find at this point, but she loved rapping, so we let her do it. We need a pallet jack. You know what, we've never loaded a truck. We need, pallets are hard. I mean, versus FedEx where we would take all the parcel. So we had to get a pallet jack. Well, guess what? Pallets are heavy. We need a power jack, because pushing 2,000 pounds up the trailer, that is not good. And after literally my best experience was a Walmart truck pulled up, and a driver that had been driving for probably somewhere between 150 and 200 years. he and I had to push the pallet in the back of this truck, and I was the first pickup. And that was when we said, you know what, we need something, we need help. And that's Clayton riding around, so I'm not sure what he's doing there on the port pallet jack. QuickBooks, so nerd alert. We have QuickBooks Pro, we wanted Enterprise. Enterprise, you can manage multiple warehouses, receivables, you can connect it to credit cards, you can connect it to the bank. I mean, it lets you do everything. And we want more. We want to bring it in-house. We even had an out-of-body experience and decided to take a sounds project that we just did and do it in-house. We built 30,000 four-packs in-house. And it was somewhere between me being the IT guy and Clayton riding around on that power jack that we started to think, are we doing the right things? Like, something's wrong here. Are we focused on the right things? You know, are we playing everybody's strengths? I mean, and all of you guys that have small businesses, you know, you do what you got to do. I mean, everybody does everything, so forget about titles. But you get to a point where you're thinking, I probably need to play to some strengths, right? Can we scale with this? So, I mean, you think about all those pictures. What if we double? Can we continue to do what we're doing now? Is it going to get cheaper per unit? And of course, the answer was no. Are we leaving growth on the table? And this is probably the most sobering point, because you fight so hard to survive as a small business, and the idea of leaving money on the table really makes you sick. And so we didn't like the answers to all of these, and so we started thinking, you know what, maybe we should start looking for some partners out there, and we should recalibrate the way we go to market. So let's reverse engineer. One, no more 30,000 four-packs. We've already know of some warehouses that can receive inventory, manage it for us, assemble, and get it out the door, so check. I retired from IT, and so we found somebody that can host our server. You always want to be on. I mean, think about the nightmares when you can't make an invoice, or you can't process a payment, or you don't get paid. We don't need any of that. We got enough stress as it is. So let's just pay somebody to host a server. I love QuickBooks, but we have a CPA that's amazing, has a great little program where they can do payroll for you, and payroll takes a lot of time. And you don't want to mispay your people. And so guess what? Taking payroll out gave Ashley a ton of capacity, so check, let's take payroll off. We probably spend the most time back there building pallets and all of these things. And so, you know, what if we found somebody that can warehouse, pick and pack? They were a 3PL, so they could even broker different carrier relationships with us. Hello, I like that idea. And so now that we have, you know, we've really kind of started to narrow it down, we don't need as much space. We can actually save money on space and utilities and all of these things, and right size our business. Check. Now, I'm not going to ever get rid of the whiteboard, because that's why all good things start and end with the whiteboard. But you know, our question is like, what do we do with all this time now that we have it back in our lives? But I'm gonna, all jokes aside, well, of course we are playing some ping pong, but all jokes aside, we know we cannot grow without the right partners. And so we have literally spent the last 12 months looking for who are those folks that will scale with us, that are on equity with us, that are like-minded, and we're going to grow together so we can focus on what we're probably best at, which is making recipes, branding our salsa, telling our story, and that's really where our heart is anyway. So that's the challenge, is if you're trying to do everything, be open to, I know Fran does a great job of this, she's actually inspired some of this thinking, be open to thinking differently about how you operate, and make sure you're putting the right people in the right role, and you're outsourcing where it makes sense. And then the last point is, we're still not there, not even close. You know, it's almost 2015, which is amazing, just the thought of that. And we've worked hard. I mean, it's been 10 years of, you know, pounding the pavement, trying to convince people to try our salsa, and we're still not there. In fact, I was just reading an article the other day that said after the startup phase, the real work begins. And I thought, well, you know, are you kidding me? Like, what have we been doing for the last 10 years? And a quote came to mind. I don't often think of quotes, but this is one that I've always enjoyed, and it really hit home. And Abraham Lincoln said, if you give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, I'll take the first 4 to sharpen the axe. And then it kind of hit me, you know what, the first 10 years of My Brother's Salsa has been about sharpening the axe. And we're maybe at the first time ever where we can swing, and we can swing with confidence, maybe with accuracy. and actually really make a difference. And again, a lot of hard work, but we're almost to that place. So my last slide is, if you're thinking about, well, what is next? I know what I've done, I know what I'm doing, but how do I know what's next? I have a little template that I use to help me compartmentalize it, and I stole it from Wired, so I'm glad the legal's not here. But I will give it back, so I'm just going to use it just for you guys. And I don't know if you might know Wired magazine. You hear them talk about what's wired, tired, and expired. Well, I'm going to always convert everything into salsa. So what is mild, medium, or hot, okay? You put your own language in there. But this is a great exercise. In fact, I'm just going to, these are 5 buckets that are important to us. And I'm going to tell you, there's a reason that says WIP out. This column is truly a work in progress. We're trying to figure out what is it that's next. But for example, if you think of big picture, the beginning for us was test and learn. We had to get out there. Offensive mistakes. I know my mother-in-law loves it when I say that. Makes you nervous. But we believe in offensive mistakes. The last 3 years have been about chasing scale. If we cannot find efficiencies in our operations, we won't survive. Again, it's a penny profit business, and we need to be as efficient as possible. I don't have the perfect word for it, but I do feel like the first 10 years has been broad strokes. It's kind of that shotgun approach. The next, even though we're a little bigger, it's going to get down to precision. So the right tactics, the right marketing, putting our people in the right spot, going after the right retailers. It's no longer a one-size-fits-all. That is not where our growth is going to come from. It's going to be active, because I like moving forward, precision. We need to be very calculated, almost surgical in the way we think about the business. So we're in the middle of working through what that looks like and how that's going to take us to the next level. Production. When you're making a product, you need somebody that can make somewhere less than 10,000 cases. In fact, in the very early days, we'd make just enough, and Miss Helen would have to label every single jar. That's not a lot of fun. And she wouldn't let me do it because I never got it on right. But it was about small batch production. We've seen somebody can make a few for us, and we're going to get it out there and test and learn. Well, then you get to a place where it's like, okay, I think I could get some volume discounts. We're finally, I'm gonna order a little more than I need, but it may get that, that X% or X cents off on a per unit. That's good. You can start to invest back in the business. I don't know what to call this last bucket, but I'm gonna tell you what it will include. I'm gonna call it the production triathlon. It will include, 1, we're gonna preserve the integrity of our product. We're gonna make a great quality salsa, period. Hard stop. 2, we want to get the everyday costs down. Like if you think about labels and jars and glasses and the ingredients and how we source it, we need the cost to be at a place where it's sustainably low. Again, we're not going to ever be the cheapest. That's okay, because we use choice ingredients, and that's what we want to do. But we need to get down. And thirdly, and kind of a newer pillar, is we need to shorten the lead time. You'll get to a place where you get that big PO and you have to tie up a lot of inventory, and there's cash sitting there, and cash is king. So we need to get our POs, we need to get our lead time shorter, and we need to be able to order, to PO the best we can. So those 3 things have to work together for us to take the next step for our production. Price premium. When you're just starting and really it's mom and pop specialty, you go out you're real expensive, probably too expensive in the marketplace. And then you keep going, and guess what? We're still pricing premium, and a lot of that's because our product costs a little bit, and now it was about positioning. We're a premium product, so we're going to position ourselves, and pricing is one of the easiest ways to do that. That's not where we want to stay. We've never ever said we want to be an exclusive brand. We want to be inclusive. We want to be on everybody's table. And so our goal is to find that sweet spot of price accessibility where everybody can try and enjoy our salsa. The goal is we don't want to only be in Dean and DeLuca and you buy our salsa for $10. I mean, we don't like the idea of that. We want to be at a good price where everybody can afford it. When we started thinking about consumer communication and connection, it was like, real estate, location, and we demoed out the wazoo. And that's all we did. And as we were growing, we continued to demo some more, but you know what? We got some volume discounts, so guess what? We got to pass a little bit of savings on to our retailer, which they like. But we need a more balanced attack. And of course, I was really convicted watching John James earlier on how do you leverage social media and all of that. we're not great at that. We're going to get better at that, but we need to really look at this beautiful balance of in and out of store and how we communicate and connect with our shopper. And so there's a lot of work behind the scenes on what that looks like to us. And then my last bucket is more around retail. So in the beginning, it was, Mr. or Mrs. Retail, will you please just hear us out? Will you try our products? Is that my time to go? No. No, like 5 minutes. Yeah, I can take a hint. But you know, it is about introduction. Will you please try the salsa? So that's Miss Helen in the early days. And then it got to a place where it's like, we were scrambling. We got to go help Walmart over here, and you know, Fresh Market just picked us up, and I got to go wrap a pallet, and my kid is hanging off the forklift, and I mean, it was just literally, we are in maintenance mode. But we know that that is not going to cut it. Like, we know we need to get to a place of account leadership. So part of outsourcing a lot of our product is so we can really focus on our retail partners and start to provide the kind of leadership that they expect out of us and that we would like to provide. So it's little things. You're going to say, well, duh. You know, how about a 6 to 12 month plan on what you're going to do? I mean, a lot of it is we're just kind of trying to keep up. But we need to take the next step. We need to plan out. You know, it's bringing ideas. I mean, I haven't done that in a long time. I mean, I want to bring some ideas. We've got a big vision for the category. We can do some cool stuff. So it's going to be about bringing ideas. We know that we can up our game in a major way with the account leadership side of our business, and so that's going to be a big focus for us. So you don't have to use, this is not for you to use or replicate. It may not make any sense for your business, but I love the exercise, and it really forced me to think through what have I done, what am I doing, and what do I need to do to take the next level for my business, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. So that's what I have. That's my brother Salsa.